Hello everyone, and welcome back for another RGB RPG's DM prep guide. Today we're going to be taking a look at session 32 of our Descent into Avernus campaign, and as always there's going to be a lot of spoilers ahead. So if you are a player or plan on being a player in one of these Avernus and Descent into Avernus, go ahead and click away. But if you're a DM who wants some added insight into how another DM might run this adventure, go ahead and stick around and check the series out. So, the characters are really closing in on the end game for Avernus. They are about to discover the Sword of Zariel very soon. But go ahead and do a quick recap. The party has concluded their audience with Bel, the archfiend who used to be in charge of Avernus before Zariel took over. He is the #1 competitor for Zariel's power here in Avernus, and the party has put themselves in a position to help Bel retake his throne. So the party has traveled to a flying fortress, an abandoned flying fortress, and picked up several items that originally Bel had instructed them to return to him, but after they had recovered them, simply gave them some not so veiled suggestions on what they might be able to do with them. And it was revealed that these 9 adamantine rods that the characters had discovered could essentially open the Solar Incendiator, or the Companion as they knew it previously. So now that they have these rods in hand, there's only one step left for them to do, which is to finally recover the Sword of Zariel. Bel has informed them where this sword is at, and they now have a clear path ahead on how to recover that sword. And that leads us into Chapter 4. But first, the party has an unfinished score to settle. The Rakshasa Mahadi has followed the party to this location and is attempted to ambush them. So that's pretty much where we're at right now. The party faces Mahadi on the wrecked flying fortress. There's really only 2 major story points for this section of the adventure. First is defeat Mahadi. That could take a while, or it could go by very quickly. It really depends on what the party can do. We'll go into how we're going to be playing Mahadi in a moment here, but after that, they travel to the scab and enter into it to search for Zariel's sword. That is one of the real only dungeon crawls that the party has had in a long time. It's a full-blown dungeon. It's a scab. It's gross as hell, but it is essentially a dungeon where the party goes in, and it is just intensely unsafe for them to rest inside of this place, if not impossible. So they will have to use resource management for the first time in a while and really make sure that they are in a good shape when they get to the end of this dungeon, or at least that they can face off with what's at the end. So let's go ahead and rewind to the fight with Mahadi. The Rakshasa stat block is kind of, I don't want to say underwhelming, but unsuited for what we have in mind right now. Right now we're going to be facing a Mahadi who has had time to prepare, to plot, and to scheme, and has set himself up in the best possible way to destroy the players. A very conniving and intelligent individual. He does not simply show up and start flinging attacks around, right? So he has used Dominate Person to take over the party's grappler. Bill is under his control and with instructions to kill the party. However he goes about doing that is entirely up to him. His instructions were clear, but vague enough that he can take whatever actions he wants to. He just has to try to destroy his teammates. Now, it's extremely likely that that effect will be removed relatively quickly. Mahadi has several contingencies in mind. Crown of Madness is a lesser version of what he's already done. He may try to use that. He has Counterspell, 3 uses of it. Force Cage if things get real dicey. There are some players with some magical movement, which could come in handy if they can beat his Charisma DC to get out of that. But I've essentially tried to create a much more dynamic fight for Mahadi versus the party. Got rid of some of his more social spells in exchange for more combat and control-oriented spells. And yeah, just generally made him a tougher opponent. He will summon his Avernus companion, Jezebel, as soon as he starts combat. So on his first round of combat, used his surprise to Dominate Person on Bill, and then with his first action in combat, he's going to summon Jezebel. Jezebel is going to play an interesting role in this whole situation. If it appears for even a moment that Mahadi may lose this fight, she will not overtly change sides, but she will begin doing some very questionable things. Intentionally missing a party member, perhaps. Taking a lash with her rope of entanglement accidentally catching Mahadi in it while she was trying to get the one next to him. Something along those lines. Jezebel will likely turn sides and turn against the party. Now, the party did just get I call it a level up rest. They leveled up to 11, and Mahadi is going to face them at full power. One of the reasons why we beefed up Mahadi so thoroughly for this, to make sure that the parallel players don't just steamroll over him. If they find a way to steamroll over him, cool. But we don't want it to seem like it was too easy. So yeah, there's a couple of situations that could happen if Mahadi really gets the upper hand. The Knucklebones are in the Flying Fortress. They could hear the fight going on, and they're going to start rushing up as soon as they can. So they either show up right as the fight ends, if the party has a good go of it, or just in the nick of time to save them with the Flame Skull's fireballs. Red Caps and Mad Caps just generally get in the way, chuck and clonk, hurling pieces of machinery, whatever it may be. The Knucklebones could arrive to assist. And if things get too out of hand, Mad Maggie herself could arrive at the behest of her gang. So yeah, Mahadi's fight, it's really could go either way. It could swing wildly in the favor of the party, or this could turn into a long, prolonged fight because of all of the defensive and disruptive magics at Mahadi's disposal. So we'll see how that goes. Then we get to the Scab. This is going to be a really cool section for the party. It's one of the first places where, holy shit, this feels like hell. They are essentially inside of a meat chamber. It's essentially a scab that has formed over the Golden Citadel that Yale and Lulu created to protect the sword. Yale giving up her angelic essence to create this massive, safe place within the center of Avernus. So this growth immediately began to grow up and over it, like Avernus saw a wound on itself and is continuously trying to heal it with this disgusting growth of scabrous tissue forming over the citadel. We got a cool handout for that. Okay. We'll move that up here. But yeah, we've got this to show the party, which is gross and awesome all at once. The party has to get in there. The base is rock hard. The farther up you go, the softer the material is. Relatively impossible to climb all the way up, though. There are several holes that the party will see to be able to find entrance, and if they try to scale it, they'll find the exterior windows impossible to penetrate, and that the only way to actually enter in is through the scab. So yeah, we have the maps for the scab here. The maps that the book comes with are side view maps, and I don't really like those too much. They're hard to navigate and hard to work through. I found these that I found on DM's Guild to be far more useful for the type of game that I like to run, but it's entirely possible to run using the maps that are included. So we have 3 of those, 3 levels for this, each one filled with demons. This is probably the most interaction with demons that the party has had since we got started. They are everywhere in here, and they are the ones in charge down here. And we've also got this guy here, Croektoik, whatever his name is, a pet of Unigo's, who has been stuck down here for a very long time. Several demons are trying to get to him, and if he gets loose, it could spell some interesting situations indeed. Not just spelling trouble for the party, but possibly even spelling trouble for Zariel. So loads of demons. They essentially have to try and get from. It's a dungeon crawl. They have to try and get from the entrance here to the doors to the citadel, 2 levels down here. So 3 levels of this place that they have to navigate through to get to this point right here. When they get there, they get into the Radiant Citadel. They see Zariel's sword, and then some pretty amazing things begin to happen. But that's really as far as I expect to get today. I would be very surprised if the party made it through the scab today, but it's entirely possible that they get a good portion into it. Lulu's really the only NPC that comes into play here. There's a couple of super minor ones that get described in the book with a couple of lines. Not too necessary to go over them here. We have a lot of stat blocks. So Mahadi and Jezebel are really the only ones we got to worry about for the initial fight. But then we go into the scab, and there is a lot of demons in there. You can see the entire list right here. This one down here being the guy who's actively trying to break into the Citadel, kind of works as the boss for this whole encounter. But yeah, lots of demons. It's unlikely the party's going to fight all of these, but I say that when the last party that I ran this for literally cleared the entire place. They didn't find Krokiktoik, but they cleared out the rest of the place and fought everything else that they could find in there. Cleared the place out. But really the ones that they're going to fight for sure are the Nalfeshni and probably some Helzeraus and Balgoros. They're in several different spots and could be dangerous, and I don't see them getting past the Knolls either. But yeah, there's a few different rewards in here. The fight with Mahadi is going to yield a Wand of Secrets. He has 10 soul coins on him, and then Yesabel's Rope of Entanglement. Furthermore, a cool development that may come out of this is the idea that Yesabel is going to take over the Wandering Emporium, and so they have a friendly place. If they do manage to defeat Mahadi and completely kill him, wipe him out of here, Yesabel will take that place over. Will take over the Wandering Emporium, and it will become friendly to the party. She's going to say that she needs at least a few days to work things out, get the red tape cut, and get the proper forms filed, all that good lawful evil devil stuff, bureaucracy, and that they can come see her in a few days, giving the party ample time to get into the scab, recover it, and then get out, and then still be able to make a trip to the Wandering Emporium before they go to the final showdown, which is coming very soon. So yeah, that's really it. Fight Mahadi, go to the scab, hopefully reach the sword today or early next session. So yeah, thanks for watching, everyone. As always, my patrons do get these videos a full month before they get put on the YouTube, so if you're watching this on YouTube, consider subscribing to the Patreon below. But if not, please just leave a like and follow. That also helps as well. Subscribe to the channel, all that YouTube stuff. Thank you very much for watching, everybody, and we will see you in the next video.